What's going on, y'all? It's the Caveman back at it again with another video, and it's that dreaded video, man. I did not want to talk about it, but I have to. How do I not? It's Super Bowl 55. As much as I can't stand the matchup, I have to talk about it. I'm not going to really break down the game all that much because I don't really give a shit. I think I have a little more of an interesting topic for the video. I didn't want to, make a video breaking it down how I think it's going to go because, frankly, I just don't give too much of a shit. I could not figure out a worse matchup for the Super Bowl. I don't want either team to win. If that was an option, I would very so gladly pick that option 10 times out of 10. And I think every single person in Buffalo would choose that option. But that's just not possible. I actually tried to think of a worse Super Bowl matchup after analyzing this entire year, how the AFC Championship game went, just analyzing everything from the bigger picture. I could actually not think of a worse Super Bowl matchup. This is actually horrible. This sucks, and I have no interest in watching it besides for the fact that I am a football fan. Other than that, I cannot give less of a flying shit about this football game. I had to throw my 2 cents in on how the game is going to go. If the Chiefs play like how they played against the Bills in the Super Bowl, this game won't be close. The Chiefs are a better team than the Bucs and the Bills, and I think the Bills are as good as the Bucs, and if the Chiefs are going to handle the Bills the way that they did, I would like to imagine that the Buccaneers just have little to no chance in this football game. On the other hand, Tom Brady will sell his soul to anybody he has to win another ring. So he may very well do that, and he could come out on top. So unless he does that, that's the only way they win, is if Tom Brady sells his soul somewhere, because that's the only way it's going to happen. Otherwise, I would imagine that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come out in this game, and I don't really care about the score. I really don't care who wins at the end of the day. But, push comes to shove, I would rather have the Bucs win over the Chiefs. Now, I know that sounds horrible. After the AFC Championship game, this conversation started to really boil up. It was really something on Twitter people were talking about. I took to Twitter myself to say I would rather root for the Bucs. Other Bills fans were taking to Twitter and say I'd rather root for the Bucs because of the experience that I personally had with Chiefs fans on Twitter leading up to the game, as well as how the game went itself. I had a very bad taste in my mouth from the Chiefs in general. Say, you know what? Fuck it. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. And don't get me wrong, I'm not rooting for the Bucs over Tom Brady. I just would rather the Chiefs lose. That's all. That's all. I'm not rooting for Brady, okay? For all the people that were taking to Twitter, that were absolutely scrutinizing, calling people criminals, saying that it's absolute treason to root for Tom Brady if you're a Bills fan. People were actually getting pissed off and, coming at people that would say they would root for the Bucs. It was getting bad. Let me just get that straight. It's not like that. It's not like that, okay? I'm not rooting for Brady. I just want the Chiefs to lose. That's all. That's all. My very own father is one of those people. How could you root for Tom Brady? He would rather die on the hill he's standing on than root for Tom Brady in any single Super Bowl ever. He's big on the fact that he thinks that Tom Brady sold his soul to win 7 or 6 at this very moment, but if he wins 7, he has sold his soul to the devil to get to where he is, because just the way he was drafted, how he looked, as unathletic as the dude is, he had to have sold his soul. That's the way my dad thinks about it. And you know what? He may very well have. We will never know if Tom Brady sold his soul to the devil, but nevertheless, my dad does not want him winning his 7th freaking Super Bowl ring. Whereas me, myself, like I said, I am a little more forgiving, I guess is the word, for lack of a better term. I'm more forgiving. I could settle with the fact that the dynasty that's already built can win one more instead of building up the other next dynasty, the next supposed dynasty, giving them their 2nd consecutive ring, giving them momentum going into the future. I would rather just give the dynasty that's already built their 7th ring. Why not? But my dad, he's not hearing that, and I wanted to know why that was. What is the deal here? Why are there some fans that just will not get off that hill of Tom Brady? And don't get me wrong, I hate Tom Brady just as much as the next Bills fan. But what is it about me and my dad that makes us different? So this hatched a hypothesis in my brain. Why is it that my dad can't settle with Tom Brady winning, but I can? Obviously, my dad is my dad. The dude's older than me. That's just how shit is, all right? He's my dad. He's older than me. And since he's older than me, he has lived through all of Tom Brady's dominant years. He's been watching Tom Brady dominate the Bills since the day he got drafted, since the day he started his first game in 2001. He's been watching it from the very beginning. Me, I didn't start watching football until 2013, 2012, 2013, and I was 12 or 13 years of age. I still barely knew what was going on until I was around 15 years old. I knew the players, but I really didn't understand football all that much. I just started to root for the Bills, and then I started to gain an understanding as I grew older. So I was really not alive for a majority of Brady's dominance over the Bills. I was alive for it, but I wasn't, competent. Let's put it that way. I wasn't old enough to realize what was actually really going on until about 13, 14, maybe 15 years old. But like I said, my dad was the one, he's been through it all. He's watched it from the very beginning. And I wanted to know if that is actually why, people like my dad cannot get off the hill of Tom Brady. So on both Twitter and Instagram, I put up a poll with 4 different options. And the first option was, if you're under 30 years old, then you want the Bucs to win, you pick that option. If you're under 30 years old and you want the Chiefs to win, you pick that option. If you're over 30 years old and you want the Bucs to win, you pick that option. And if you're over 30 years old and you want the Chiefs to win, then you pick that option. I chose 30 years old because I felt like, you know, around the time Brady started his first game, you were probably 11 or 12 because that was in 2001. You were probably born around 1990. And that was when, you know, we were probably 10 years old once you got to be 11, 12, 13. Brady really started to dominate once he got into his third or fourth year. So I figured 30 years old was a pretty good benchmark, was a pretty good division line between, you know, if you're old enough to be mad about Tom Brady and if you're not old enough to be mad about Tom Brady. And honestly, my hypothesis really was kind of like, I didn't expect it to be right, but it was actually more right than I expected. Like, it actually came true a lot more than I expected. And nobody really knew what I was doing. I just kind of posted the poll and got my results. And now it was actually pretty right, I think. I'm going to put up the results right next to me on the screen here. As you can see, between Twitter and Instagram, I accumulated a total of 473 votes. Now, obviously, that's not the biggest size of Bills fans. Like, I don't have a following to reach every single corner of Bills Mafia. I just don't. But I think 473 is a pretty respectable sample size to get an idea of what I was trying to get at. So dividing the four options into two groups between the under and over 30 sections, you can clearly see that the under 30 years old, they're a lot closer than the over 30. And why is that? Well, obviously, a lot more people that are under the age of 30 years old are okay with saying, okay, you know what, fine, give Brady his 7th ring. They're a little more forgiving. Showing how close it was between Bucs and Chiefs if you're under 30 years old, I thought it reflected pretty much what I was trying to get at. There are more people under the age of 30 years old that are okay with Tom Brady winning than there is if you're over 30 years old and you're okay with Tom Brady winning. The biggest margin, as I suspected, came between the over 30 section. Over 30 rooting for the Chiefs section that really kind of overcame the over 30 rooting for Bucs section by a decent margin. You know, it was pretty much a 60-40 split between the over 30 Chiefs and Bucs. And honestly, that's not that surprising. Like, that was kind of what I expected. People over the age of 30 do not want to get off the Tom Brady hill. And that's what I suspected in the first place. And people that are under 30 years old, there's a lot more of them, or there's a bigger percentage of them, let's say, that are okay with, you know, okay, Tom Brady, give him his 7th instead of giving the next dynasty his 2nd.
Brady's the devil.
So yeah, I'd say my hypothesis was pretty on point. I would say that the reason that people over 30 do not want Tom Brady to win is because they experienced most of, if not all of, Brady's dominance. People under 30 most likely did not experience all of it. They did not, I don't truly understand. I'm saying they as if I'm not part of it. I don't truly understand how brutal it actually was. Which is why people like me, more people my age, are okay with settling with the fact that Brady, okay, just give him his 7th, and Chiefs, I don't want them to have their 2nd because of the next incoming dynasty. That was pretty interesting, and I wanted to put together a little experiment, and I put it all together. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I wish I could have gotten a bigger sample size. I got a retweet from a guy named Bruce Exclusive. He does a lot of Bills content on Twitter. I'm a big fan of his. A lot of his work I really like to read, and I think it's really cool what he does. He gave me a retweet, and it helped me reach a larger sample of Bills Mafia, but I would have actually, you know, liked to get a hold of as many Bills fans as I possibly could have, but obviously that's not possible. Even if I had a humongous following, I'm not going to reach the entire world, but I still felt like just under 500 votes was a pretty good sample size in my opinion. And I feel like even if I had a bigger sample size, it would have just reflected the same results, except just with more people voting, if you know what I mean. This was pretty cool. If you guys enjoyed something like this, maybe this is something I could do in the future. I'm not really a science dude. I'm not a math guy. You know, this is more math than I've done in over the past year and a half. I freaking hate math, but I enjoyed this. You know, I like working with numbers when it's something that I enjoy doing, or it's something that I'm doing for like a video per se. So if you like something like this, I hope you did. I want to know down below. I want to know what you think of the video. I want to know what you think of the experiment I did. I want to know any of your thoughts. I want you to put them down below. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you want to see when I upload, hit that bell to be notified when I do upload. And if you want to follow me on Twitter as well to keep up with polls or whatever I tweet, go follow me over there. Go right ahead as well. But if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you did, I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.